Hey guys, welcome back. I'm here with Iron Man today. He's gonna help me with introducing tree diagrams and outcomes. We're really excited about what we have to teach you today. It's gonna build off what we did on Thursday with our tables and outcomes, so start there if you haven't already. All right, who's ready to go? Can you blast me off, Iron Man? All right, just like last week, we're gonna start with the big board, then move separately into the paper, which I've gotten wet with my freshly washed hair. Sorry about that. My first key point here is about sample space again. We just need to remember that sample space is all our possible outcomes. Moving on to tree diagrams, this is what's new for today. So tree diagrams are gonna help us find all our possible outcomes or combinations especially when there's two or more events happening, okay? So right down here, I have a little example. So let's say event A had two possible outcomes, and then event B had three different outcomes, and event C had two different outcomes. Just like we did on Thursday, we multiply our three numbers. So 2 times 3 is 6, times 2 is 12. So we will have a total of 12 possible combinations at the end of the day. So you start here, and you start by listing your outcomes for your first event. I just wrote 1 and 2 because nothing was specifically defined. Then what you do next is you branch off. The number of branches coming from each event of A is going to be defined by how many we have for our next event. So we have 3 possible outcomes for event B, so we have 3 branches coming off each number here. And then again, I just listed them as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now for our final event, we just have 2 possible outcomes, so we branch 2 off of each of our previous ones, okay? And I listed them as 1 and 2. Then if you count the total number in our last set, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It should match your total that you get when you multiply, which is perfect, all right? Then to see a specific sample, it would be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and you can just continue to follow your branches that way. All right, I'm gonna zoom into our paper now, and we can work from here. All right, so everything I've highlighted at the top is pretty much what we talked about previously. So I'm gonna go ahead and move into the for instance section. If you wanna pause now to take note or highlight what I have, that would be great because it might be on your checkpoint. All right, so for the for instance section, what are the outcomes of flipping a dime, flipping a penny, and spinning a spinner with red, green, and blue sections? Okay, so the first thing we needed to do was understand what events are happening. So when we read our word problem, we can see we are flipping a dime, flipping a penny, and spinning a spinner. Now it doesn't say how many sections the spinner has, but it says it has red, green, and blue sections, which means we have 3 options on our spinner. As we've talked about in our other videos, when we flip a coin, you can either flip heads or tails. So we have 2 options for our dime, 2 options for our penny, and as I just explained, we have 3 options for our spinner. So if we multiply 2 times 2 times 3, we get a total of 12 different options. Now I've already created the tree diagram for you. It should be on your paper. If not, you should try and copy this down on a separate sheet now. So right here, this is our first flip of our dime. And as we talked about, we can either get a heads or a tails. Going from there, we have 2 options for our penny. So both of our defined options are gonna get 2 branches. Now our options for our penny are heads and tails. So heads, tails, and then we just do it again, heads, tails. Then for our spinner, we had 3 options. So now we have 3 branches coming off each box. This is our spinner. We have red, blue, green, red, blue, green, red, blue, green, red, blue, green. Then if we were to count 1, 2, 3, all the way down, this would give us our 12 specific options. Again, to see what they were, we could do tails, tails, green, tails, tails, blue, tails, tails, red, tails, heads, green, and so on. As long as you follow the branches, you will see all the different options we have. So let's practice here together. What are the outcomes for flipping a coin 3 times? All right. This is a bit different because it is 1 coin, but we are flipping it 3 separate times, which means we're gonna have our first flip, our second flip, and our third flip to find our total. Right. Now that I've found my coin for us to look at, as you can see, when we flip the coin the first time, we can either get a heads or a tails. So that gives us 2 options. Okay? Now when we flip it a second time, nothing has changed with our coin. We could still either get tails or heads. Still 2 options. And if we flip it a third time, we can still either get heads or tails. We still have 2 options. Now the biggest thing that y'all do is y'all see this sometimes and you want to say there's 6. But let's think about this. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So there's actually 8 total options here. All right, so let's start. For our first flip, we could get heads or tails. Now moving into our second flip, there's 2 options. So each letter is gonna get 2 branches. For our second, we could either get heads or tails. Now for our third flip, we again have 2 options. So each letter again is going to get 2 branches. And our options are heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, and we just alternate all the way down. And there is our completed tree diagram. And if we count our outer branch, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total options, which is what we wanted. Yay. All right, now let's look at number 2. What are the outcomes of spinning a spinner with the sections 1 through 4, flipping a coin, and picking a blue or green candy? So again, we have 3 things happening. We are spinning a spinner, we're flipping a coin, and we're picking a candy. Now for our spinner, we have sections 1 through 4, which means we are going to have 4 options. 1, 2, 3, or 4. When we flip our coin, we have two options, heads or tails. And with the candy, it said we're picking from blue or green. So again, we're gonna have two options. Then here we do 4 times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16. So as we had said on our spinner, we had 4 sections. They were labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. Simple start, right? All right. So those were our spinner options. Now moving on to our coin, we had 2 options. So each number is going to get 2 branches. I kind of like to spread mine out just so I have enough room to write. And when we flip a coin, we could either get heads or tails. So those are the options we're gonna write on each set of our branches. Now moving into our candy, we had 2 options. So again, we're gonna do 2 branches off each letter. And our options were blue or green. There we go. And we have 16 total options. And I can find those options by following my branches. I could get a 1, heads, and a blue candy. 1, heads, blue. Or I could get 1, heads, green. Or I could get a 1, tails, blue. 1, tails, green. Once I've done all my 1s, I can move on to the 2. And
all right, I hope the video was helpful. Me and Iron Man are off to save the world. Bye.
Bye. We're gonna watch somebody do. We're gonna watch somebody do it. We're gonna watch Mommy do a flip. So let's go.